Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and my review of Poki and Rocky Reshine, a remaster of a dinosaur which has its humble beginning more than 30 years ago. The game was first published by Taito in 1986 for the Japanese arcade. The story of Poki and Rocky Reshine is focused around our two heroes, Poki, the Shinto maiden, Rocky, her companion, a raccoon, and both of them is trying to take down the villain Black Mantle, who has turned monsters into raging creatures. So it's up to our two heroes to bring peace to the world. The arcade version was ported to other classic 90s console. Well, it's been more than 20 years now, we now have a port version for the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation. The theme of Poki and Rocky Reshine is around Japanese mythology and folklore, so there are things which is not obvious to a Western audience. For example, Poki throws cards, but they are called Ofuda, which is found in Japanese Shinto, which is meant to fight against evil spirits. And you can ride a lion which is called Kamonu as one of the power-ups. Back in high school in the early 2000s, my friend and I went to our local Blockbuster and rented this game. Not because of its stories, because we had no ideas about Japanese mythology or Japanese folklore. The game caught our eyes with its Saturday cartoon artwork, and its description included co-op and endless continue. And it has that Japanese feel to it. I mean, this was the start of the K-pop and J-pop days. So anything involving J-pop was cool. So we rented the game for the fun factor, not for the story. Much like the original Super Nintendo version, the remake of Poki and Rocky Reshine shares the same core gameplay. Take a look at some of this gameplay footage and see if you can spot them. Your core moves in the game is shooting projectile, side dashing, a deflect move, and of course the good old bomb blast, aka the panic button. It's your classic 16-bits era graphics with a top-down view. It's a scrolling shooter. You can move in and attack in 8 directions. There's a power-up you can collect which gives you extra shield or invisibility. There's different firepower you can pick up along the way, from throwing cards to fireball to green flame, and you can collect weapon upgrades as you progress into the level. So why is the gameplay so simple? If you give the controller to your grandpa, he would have figured out it's basic instinct. Shoot whatever comes at you, dodge away when they come too close, and use the bomb blast when there's too many of them on the screen. Well, remember this game had its humble beginning in the Japanese arcade. So the controller had to be simple and the gameplay have to be addictive for you to keep feeding the arcade machine with your coins. The music of Poki and Rocky is catchy. It has the electronic beats mixed with Japanese rhythm. One of the great things about retro games from the arcade era is the micro sounds, which offer a motion reward like the upbeat sound when you unlock a power-up, or the sliding down loop sound when you die, which is the charm of a retro arcade game. There are 8 levels in the game. The theme of each level is based on the quest of our two heroes hunting down the Black Mantle. They usually follow the same pattern, a warm-up to the level which introduces an obstacle or a new game mechanics, a mid-boss, then a final boss for each level. There's checkpoints along the way so you don't have to replay the whole level once you exhausted your lives, which is a welcome change compared to the Super Nintendo version. Throughout the game you play of the story mode, you get to play different characters with slightly different ability, and once you finish the game you can select which characters you want to replay. So is this version as enjoyable as the Super Nintendo version? The reason why the original Super Nintendo version left such a strong impression on me was because my friend and I rented the game, so there was no excuse if it's a hard game or an easy game. We had to keep on pushing to the end, and since we only have the game over the weekend, there was a sense of urgency and pride on the line. Beat the game, the glory is ours, and if not, then we hang our head low and wait for another week to try again. If you are playing this game for the first time on the modern system, you can still have a great time either single player or co-op. It's not a demanding game on the Switch, so you won't notice any lag and the controller is responsive. There's save points along the way, so you wouldn't have to go through the tedious task of replaying the whole level just so you can refight the boss. And most players can beat the game within about 4 to 6 hours. Thank you very much for making it through to the end of my video, and I will see you in the next one.